Hi guys, it's Mary McIntyre. Welcome back to my channel. It is scorching hot in the UK at the moment, and so it's very bizarre that we're making Christmas decorations today. This is part of Claire's Crafty Corner Christmas in July collab, and I'm going to show you in my video how I make these adorable crocheted mini wreaths. So they're like mini Christmas wreaths, and I've made them out of grey and white wool because that's what I had left over from making my gonks last Christmas. So yeah, I'm going to show you step by step how I made these. So if you want to find out how to do it for yourself, keep watching. Okay guys, so the base for making these little decorations are shower curtain rings, and if you have any kind of size of anything circular it will work. These I got from FreeCycle ages ago. They've got that annoying bit at the top, so they can be curtain pole rings or shower curtain rings, whatever. But what I did is chop that top bit off and then just used our little grinding stone, or you can just use a nail file to just smooth that off. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth because we're going to cover it all up with wool anyway. Any size of ring will be fine. These are fairly small, so I kind of adapt the exact design that I crochet onto that to kind of work within the size of ring that I have. So first thing we need to do is make a little slip knot. There we go. So stick that on your crochet hook and pull that. So don't judge the state of my ball of wool, by the way. I got into a tangle when I was making my gonks at Christmas and the wool's in a bit of a mess now. I couldn't get the middle of the ball of wool to come through. Okay, so once you've got the loop on the hook, you pick up your ring, put it in front of you, and what you do is just put the hook through, pick up the crochet wool, and then yarn over, pull through, and that basically starts to put these little stitches around the ring. So pull through, yarn over, pull through again. So you go in from the front of the ring, pick up the yarn, pull it up, and that basically gives you two strands of yarn that are covering the loop. It doesn't matter what colour you use, but I do find that if I'm using white wool, for example, I will use a white hoop. If I'm using a dark green, I will use a black. But really, whatever you have is fine. And I know I have a lot of the metal ones as well. If you're worried about seeing through, just put a few extra stitches on. I know some techniques for doing this actually count the stitches, which will help with the design when you go around the edges. I don't do that. I just put as many on as is going to give me the best coverage, and then I just skip stitches if my design's getting too bunched up, and I find that works best because it just depends on what colour you're working with, really. So I find that I quite often crochet with my tension a bit tight, and that makes life more difficult later. So try not to pull this through too tightly. You obviously do want good coverage, but you do need to be able to get the hook into there. By the way, I'm using my 3.5mm hook, I believe it is. Yeah, 3.5. It's an ergonomic one. It's a little bit more comfortable to use. So just gonna speed this bit up while I just fill the rest of the hoop. Okay, that's pretty good coverage of the ring. So what I'm going to do now is just go into this first stitch. So it's very tight because I always crochet too tight. But we need to slip stitch into that first one, so there we go, that's through. So you yarn over, pull through, and pull through both, so you don't actually make another stitch there. So that's the hoop bit covered. So from here there are so many different possibilities there that you can do. It really just depends on how pronounced you want the frills around the outside, or how humped you want them. I like to have kind of nice undulating bumps, so I do those in groups of 3. So I like to start off with the stitch kind of pulled in quite tight, so that's just, I'm going to start crocheting from here rather than chaining one. So do these in groups of 3, so you go in and do a double crochet, so yarn over and pull through, and the next stitch a treble, then the next one is a double, and then slip stitch that right down so that it pulls the edges of the frills down tight against the wool, and that will give you a little bit more pronounced of a hump. So then into the next stitch, if you feel your design's getting bunched up, you can skip a stitch, that's absolutely fine. So just keep an eye on how it's looking, but basically you go along in groups of 3 doing a double, treble, double, crochet stitch, and then slip stitch down so that it pulls it in nice and tight to the hoop. Sorry if you can hear background noise, by the way, it's like 28 degrees here, so it's probably hotter in this room because the sun's at the front of our house and it is so hot, and I don't have a fan or anything in this room, so I'll die if I have the window closed. So you can see that gives you these nice kind of slightly pointed, slightly curved bumps. So just complete the ring doing exactly the same thing. So pull in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through for your double, then yarn over into the stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through for your treble crochet. Oops. And after the treble is a single. And after that, sorry, a double crochet, single crochet American, and then slip stitch in to the bottom. So just keep doing that all the way around. And as I said, if you feel like things are getting a little bit bunched up, you can skip a stitch. It's not looking too bad at the moment. And slip stitch into that bottom one. So we've completed the ring, and I like to have a matching wool hanger. So what I do now is chain 13. You can make it longer if you want to. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So when you bring that back down, that gives you a nice sized loop. That's the size that I find works best on our Christmas tree for the ones that I have hanging at home. So then I sometimes just go into the same hole that came from and slip stitch to attach that. And you can snip the wool, just pull that through and pull it nice and tight, and then you can weave your ends in. So this is the front. You can then just smooch it around and get your pointy bits nice and pointed, and there you've got a mini wreath. So I'm going to weave in my ends, a job that I detest doing, so I try to do it as I go along because I really hate it when I get to the end of a project and I've got loads and loads of ends to weave in. So the way that I weave the ends in, bodkin on the back of the work, and then just kind of weave it on the back where it won't be seen, just kind of pick up a few stitches. That way, and then without pulling it too tight, you don't want to bunch things up, turn it over, go back the other way. I'm just going through the hoop stitches. Then for extra security, just go back over a 3rd time, and that way this is just never going to come unravelled. I mean, they're not going to be subjected to stress hanging on a Christmas tree unless you have a cat. These are the things we do put at the bottom of our Christmas tree because we have 4 cats, and yeah, they are fascinated by Christmas baubles. So anything breakable goes above the height of where the cats can stretch. So knitted and crocheted decorations are definitely for the win if you have pets. So just weave that through as well. So that's one done. We'll finish them all off when we do them together. So when you do like I do and wing it, there is a chance that you will end up with a different number of lumps on each one that you do. So I always keep the one I've made first handy. So you can see I've got 2, 4, 6, I've got 7 bumps there. And I like it when there's an odd number, but sometimes it doesn't quite work that way. So now it's just a case of following on and doing exactly the same thing again for the other 2. I'm now going to just thread some white wool through and tie a little bow at the bottom. I know some people like to tie bows at the top of wreaths, but I prefer mine at the bottom, but it's entirely personal choice. You can also add beads and stuff like that. Little seed beads look really pretty. The beads don't show up as well on this colour scheme, but in the past I've made green ones with little red seed beads on, and they look so pretty. So I'm just going to make sure I've got plenty of wool so that I can get a symmetrical bow at the end. So I'm just going to cut 3 lengths of white wool. So I like to have my bow tied at the bottom. So I always start at the bottom by, like, we need the wool sticking out this way so that we can tie the bow. So wiggle these so that you've got your middle bow pointing down. So you can always manipulate it a little bit. So I go into we want the bow to be tied across the bottom of that middle stitch, the very bottom of the ring. So I go in like that and leave a little bit of length to tie a bow. So it's probably about half of it. And then from the back, come in under here. So we're going to weave through each of those little petals. I think of them as petals. So you come up and then back in so that you end up with a nice little white threaded bit here. It doesn't show up as brightly on this colour scheme, but with some of the other ones I've made, this really stands out and looks very pretty. So just carry on all the way around. Don't pull it too tight because it will disappear, it will bunch up all the wool. So once you come through at the bottom like that, take your needle off and then we can tie the bow. I always find tying a bow works best if I do it upside down. I don't know why, but I find it works best for me that way. So I'm going to put it in a knot just in case the bow comes undone. That way it won't get pulled out by a cat or something. And then tie a bow. I'll fiddle with the bow forever to just try to get it nice and tight but also symmetrical. So it can sometimes take me as long to do the bow as it does to make the rest of the damn thing, but I like it to look, I like it to be symmetrical and for the bow to be nice and tight. Okay, so that's one done. I'm not going to trim the ends yet because I'll do that on all of them so that they're all the same. when I'm finishing these off, I like the tails to all be about the same length, but because this is just wool, it will also start to unravel. So once I've trimmed it, I like to just tie a little knot in the end of the tails. That will just stop it from unraveling. It's not essential, it really isn't. If I cut those to about there, I think, so maybe a tiny bit shorter. Better to cut too little off than too much. Then you can just kind of wrap this around and put a tiny little knot just to help the wool not to unravel so much. You could always add a little bead on the end if you wanted to. There are so many things you can do to decorate these, there really are. It's just limitless possibilities. There we go, finished. So here they are finished. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. That'll really help me out. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what all the rest of the people that are taking part in this collab has made for Christmas in July. Crazy to say that when we're so hot here in the UK. See you in the next video, guys. Bye for now.